When I said individuals are suffering from an attention deficit disorder, I'm saying that oftentimes people will wake up, they start going through their to-do list or through their social media or call somebody on the phone. They get into activity before they have intention or connection. And we don't want to live life that way. We don't want to just run into life reacting to circumstances. It's immature. We want to establish an intention first and then move into life. Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and riches blessings, everyone. And obviously, you are tuning into the podcast, Take Back Your Mind. I welcome you. And today will be a solo program with just myself. My staff likes to call it a message from Michael, where I'm going to go through a few of these questions that have been submitted over the last few weeks and begin to answer them. When we talk about Take Back Your Mind, I think it's very important to understand that the mind is oftentimes has a bias towards negativity. The mind is looking for things to be afraid of, anxious about, to be worried about. It begins to debilitate the deep feeling of hope within our soul. It begins to debilitate a level of faith, ultimately conviction. And so when we talk about take back our mind, we're talking about not allowing the mind to run amok, having a bias towards all that is negative. Now, that negativity is not necessarily our fault. I mean, when you look through the strands of and the threads of social media, you look at the regular media on your television, your news, wherever you get your news from, the bulk of it has something to do with something that is negative. It's a report of wars, it's a report of theft, murder, killing, polarization of junior high school acting politicians, the latest debacle of whatever's going on in the human condition. Now, of course, with billions of people on the planet, most of those people aren't involved in something negative. They're not involved in stealing and committing crimes and hate mongering and things of that particular nature. But that's not necessarily going to be reported. Generally, what is reported is the most heinous of crimes or negative polarization that's happening in the human condition. So then the mind begins to form a bias towards negativity. There are individuals who are even addicted to watching the news when they wake up or before they go to sleep. They're addicted to see the mayhem moving through the human experience. So their mind has been hijacked. They're no longer under their own agency. They no longer have dominion over their own attention. The world, as it appears to be, is controlling and manipulating the strings on these individuals who are puppets to the bias towards negativity. In taking back our mind, we are working with ourselves in the form of study, in the form of affirmative prayer, the sacred art of meditation, life visioning, fellowshipping with high-minded, high-vibed, open-hearted individuals, so that our frequency and our vibration is continuing to be a vibration of newer set points, not towards negativity, not towards anxiety, not towards worry, not towards fear, but we begin to develop within ourselves a deep sense of hopefulness about the human condition. Hope is just the beginning. It's not the destination. Oftentimes people are bereft. They lose their hope when they're bombarded by negativity. and they just give in. So hope is a beginning point. When we begin to take back our minds, we find ourselves a little bit more hopeful. Now, hopeful then grows into a dynamic of faith. Now, faith is often described scripturally as the substance. Faith is the substance, the vibrational substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of that which can't be seen. That's what faith is when you look at it through the scripture. It's the substance of that which is being hoped for, vibrational substance, and the evidence of that which is invisible right now. That's faith. Many people begin to develop a faith. Now, it sounds religious, but this is actually the octave and frequency of a new set point, where we're actually feeling that the invisible is real, that which is trying to emerge even before it shows up is real. And then from faith, there becomes a very strong conviction within us. You know when you have conviction. You know that if you're working on a particular project, if you have conviction that you're going to successfully complete the project, that you're going to bring it to fruition, and that there's going to be success there. It's beyond hope, it's beyond faith. It's an inner power. When the bias towards negativity is dissolved, hope, then faith, then conviction. Now here's the issue. The mind gears itself around what we're interested in. And what determines our interest? What we fear, what we hate, and what we cherish. Those three things. What you fear creates a powerful energy within you. What you hate creates an energy within you. What you cherish and love creates an energy within you. So if you're into fear and hating something, you're magnetizing that experience into your life. Now, it might not be the exact experience that you're hating or fearing, but the energy of that pollutes the mind. You've lost sovereignty over your attention, and you begin to experience the hate. You begin to experience the fear, even if the manifestation of what you're seeing in your mind isn't happening. And then there's that which you really love. These are the three things that grab your attention. So you want to begin to fall in love with loving. You want to fall in love with beauty. You want to fall in love with peace. You want to fall in love with who you really are as a spiritual being. So that most of your attention is not going towards fear and hate. It's going towards a deep and an abiding sense of love. This is how we take back our mind. These are some beginning steps of taking back our mind. And to the degree that the mind is no longer a set of programs around hate and fear, a set of programs around a bias towards negativity, the mind then begins to be freed up. It begins to be an avenue of that which is real, an avenue of inspiration, an avenue of inspired wisdom, transformational knowledge, and creative intelligence. Your mind begins to open up and be your servant for vision and possibility. And as that begins to happen, you begin to have a new vibrational set point. Your life starts to trend towards success and well-being and wellness. And you begin to be an instrument of compelling right action. You're guided intuitively through your gut instinct, from direct knowledge, direct insight, into the path that you should walk on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and lifetime basis, you see. Your life starts to trend in an avenue of upliftment. So I welcome you to Take Back Your Mind, the podcast that is about spiritual liberation, the podcast that is about our activating our intrinsic freedom, the freedom to accept that the entire universe is for us and that there's nothing against us, the freedom to receive more good than we could possibly imagine, the freedom to live a bold and magnificent and beautiful life. This is what I'm holding for all of you. I did mention that today we're going to go through some questions. This question is from Amanda from Trabuco Canyon, California. She says, I believe I'm feeling that quote-unquote mind virus that you talk about in Take Back Your Mind podcast. And I think it might be due to too much content. I feel I may be streaming just too much. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, some positive and some not so positive. I also listen to audiobooks. My question is this: how much do you think is too much? I love the abundance of content that's out there, but sometimes I'm afraid I'm messing with my own inner guidance system and perhaps my own inner voice. How do you monitor your content consumption? Well, first of all, let's break down what real thinking is. There's a difference between mentation and thinking. Mentation is the continual loop of thought forms that flow through our mind, our sky of mind, on a regular basis. That's not thinking. It's called mentating. It's just the constant regurgitation of thoughts and points of view and opinions and positionalities and perceptions that run the gamut, and they thousands a day. Real thinking is direct insight from divine mind, insight from divine intelligence. When you open yourself up through spiritual practice, you make yourself prone to spiritual insight. That's direct knowing. It's also called inspiration. That's thinking. Now, you're asking, if you're watching all of these YouTube videos, some positive, some negative, you're listening to audiobooks, you're filling yourself with all of this content. Sometimes if you have enough content without practice and embodiment, you have what is called spiritual constipation. That is, you have all this information flowing within you, but it's not being assimilated because there's not enough space to embody, to practice, and to live it. So when I talk about meditation as an example, meditation, I often call it mind fasting. Why? Because you're not putting any content in. You're not watching a video. You're not watching television. You're not putting a bunch of content in your mind. You're fasting. In the same way that individuals, it's now trending for people to do like intermittent fasting and things of that particular nature. Some people have been fasting for years. I mean, years ago, I used to fast all the time. I still do it. Not as much as I did years ago when I do a 7-day fast, a 14-day fast, 21-day fast. But the point being, when you're not putting something in the body temple, there's a cleansing that takes place, and then there's like a still point that happens where you realize you're getting a profound sense of clarity and insight and energy without eating food. Now, when you are meditating, I call it mind fasting. You're not putting any input in, even though you may have an intention for the meditation. You may have read something uplifting before you started to meditate. You're basically sitting. And what does that provide? It provides, just like real fasting, it provides a clearing to take place, a cleansing, ultimately insight, and then the embodiment of an insight. So I would say to you that you have to give yourself space to feel your own spaciousness. You have to give yourself space so that you're not putting input in all the time, so that you could actually sit, introspect, contemplate, and catch the insight of what you have read or what you have seen in a YouTube broadcast. So it begin to embody it, you see. There's the information that informs, and there's information that transforms. Information that you just, like a glutton, try to memorize and watch all the time can be entertaining, may not be transformative unless you put it into practice. Being still a couple of times a day assists with that. I remember Henry David Thoreau, Remember his book he was writing about on Walden's Pond, where he just took some time off and got away from civilization and stayed by Walden's Pond. It's called Walden's Pond, and had no input. He didn't put anything in his mind. Natural state of meditation. And he discovered that there was so much to him that he didn't know about because he had been busy with activities. Sometimes we need to just stop so that we can find the spaciousness within us, embody that which we've been taken in through all of this content that you've described, and then go forth back into life. I hope that assists you. And so your own intuition will tell you how much content that you want to participate in during the course of the day. Maybe you watch a couple of things during the day, you sit with it, you contemplate it. This is what I wanted to say about Henry David Thoreau. He would read a book, and whenever he hit a place in the book where he had an aha, like, that's really touching me, he would put the book down at that spot, put a bookmark in the book, and then he would go out and either practice or try to put into action that which he had just read, so he would actually embody it, so that by the time he finished reading a book, he had actually changed. So it wasn't just reading a book and memorizing what was in it. He actually embodied, practiced any insight that came to him. You might want to take that practice on. You're getting some insight, somebody says something, it hits you, oh, that's important. Maybe stop, write it down, and ask yourself, how can I put this into practice? So I'm actually participating in my own evolution rather than just stockpiling content that might create spiritual constipation. We don't want that. Thank you for the question, Amanda. Appreciate you. Jennifer from Pasadena, California is writing, I have a question that I've been grappling with for a long time. When something or someone challenging is presented in your life, how do you know its cause? For example, how do I know if this challenging person or situation is mirroring something within me? Or if it is my karma? Or if it's a part of my soul contract with this person or situation? Or if it's what my higher self deems a necessary experience to bring about my own growth and therefore cannot be prevented? Thank you for your insight. Now this is a nice question. Now here's the deal. None of this matters in terms of the cause. Doesn't matter if it's a mirror. Doesn't matter if your karma. Doesn't matter if your soul is providing this for your own soul's growth edification, because all of that may be true. The question is somebody is standing in front of you presenting something that is difficult for you. It's a growth sit. A growth sit is short for a growth situation. What does that mean? It's an opportunity for you to grow. Opportunity to forgive. If somebody is being negative, Howard Washington Thurman used to say, when somebody is coming up against them with difficulty, he would describe love as meeting the person where they are, but treating them as though they were what they ought to be. In other words, if somebody's difficult, you meet them right where they are, whatever the appropriate thing is to do in that moment. But in your mind, in your heart, you're seeing them at the higher order of their being. Now, this is a two-phase aspect. One, you're seeing the highest and best within them, and you're feeling that within yourself, which is an act of redemption because you're seeing the spiritual truth about them, so you're assisting them in redeeming a part of themselves that they may have lost temporarily by being difficult with you. And secondly, you're taking responsibility for your own reaction to them. That's where self-forgiveness comes in. So it doesn't matter whether it's your karma, doesn't matter whether you had a soul contract, doesn't matter if you knew them in your last lifetime, doesn't matter if they're triggering you because there's something within you that has not been resolved. It doesn't matter. And anyway, this is a whole nother question. When we talk about cause, we don't live in a cause and effect universe. Now, I know this may be challenging to some because people have always been taught over the years there's a cause and effect universe. It doesn't exist, actually. There's only meaning behind events because there's only one cause. And cause, the causal aspect of life is the presence of God. You see, you break that down a little bit more. If you were looking at, the wind is blowing and an apple flies off the tree. Somebody may say, what's the cause of that apple flying off the tree? People would say, oh, well, the wind was blowing and it caused the apple to fly off the tree. No, it's not true. It was the meaning of that is that apple is in the field of something called gravity. Doesn't matter how much the wind is going to blow. If you're not in a larger meaning of the field of gravity, the apple's not going to fall. This is what Newton discovered. You see, people were into cause and effect, and they talk about Newton with cause and effect. It doesn't really exist. There's only meanings of things that are occurring, and those meanings are thoughts and perceptions that are condensing themselves as experience. We're in a field of love and beauty and intelligence. That's the only cause, ever. And so when we come out of polarity through prayer and meditation, we become at one with the cause of our own existence, and we become free. That probably wasn't a part of your question, but it was flowing, so I went with it. So don't worry about whether something's your karma. It probably is. Don't worry if somebody's in front of you mirroring something. It probably is. Don't worry if you had a soul contract with somebody. You probably do if they're in your life over and over again. Does it matter? You still have to do the same work within you to be free. So if it helps you to say, I've got a soul contract with this person. This person, every time he comes around me, he just really angers me or really knows how to push my buttons. Does that help, just knowing that? No. It may help you a little bit, but if you don't put into practice the spiritual principles, it doesn't matter whether you believe it's your karma, soul contract, or something within you is being triggered. Take responsibility, love yourself, have a moment of redemption by seeing the highest and best within them, forgive yourself, introspect, and keep it on. Jennifer, what a great question. This question is from Carla. She said, I listened to your interview with Iyanla Vanzant, and I heard you mention the term IDD, or Intention Deficit Disorder. That's a particular phrase I coined many, many years ago. It occurred to me that I might be experiencing this. I tend to let life live me instead of the other way around. Sometimes it works out well, sometimes it does not. I think that I don't set intentions because I cannot focus on one intention long enough to see it come to fruition. It's like everything, everywhere, all at once. That was a great movie, by the way. And I'm accomplishing very little. Can you share some advice on identifying and focusing on my intentions until they manifest? Yes. When I said individuals are suffering from an intention deficit disorder, I'm saying that oftentimes people will wake up, they start going through their to-do list or through their social media or call somebody on the phone. They get into activity before they have intention or connection. And we don't want to live life that way. We don't want to just run into life reacting to circumstances. It's immature. We want to establish an intention first and then move into life. Now, what does this look like and what does it do? And I'm going to go deeper in your question. If you wake up in the morning and you say, this is what I do when I wake up. I generally put my feet on the ground and I open myself up and I'm grateful for life. I actually put my hands up in the sky. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I give thanks for life. And then after I do my gratitude piece, and I say this different ways every day, it depends on how I'm flowing. I'm here to be of service. I'm here to make a contribution today. And then I open myself and I ask for help to have the power and the strength to handle anything that comes in my atmosphere during the course of that day. Okay? So I'm starting to move into intention. And then I do a brief bit of exercise, and then I'll go meditate. Or actually, I go drink a large glass of water with some lemon and some warm water in it to make sure that I'm, pH balanced. And then I'll go meditate. And in that meditation, I'm intending to wake up to my glorious nature, that I'm one with God. Okay, so that's that intention of meditation. And then, as I look at the course of my day, I'll create an intention. I intend that this day is magnificent. I intend that all the things that I'm going to be about are going to culminate successfully. I intend that I'm going to be supported every step of the way with everything that I'm called to do today. I intend to be happy. Okay? So I'm getting into a vibration of intention. Sometimes I'll establish an intention. I used to do this back in the day. I used to establish an intention for the year, and then sub-attentions for every month. So maybe I'll establish intention. This year, I intend to up-level my prosperity quotient, to be more prosperous this year. Or it could be I intend to be more healthy this year. Or I continue to contribute to the well-being of X amount of people before the end of the year is over. I would take yearly I called them themes. And then every month I would have a sub-theme. Why? Because I don't want the world to determine my attention or determine my intentions. So what does that mean? That means I'm not just walking out here reacting to things. No, I'm actually becoming a vibration and a frequency of which conditions now have to respond to me. Circumstances now have to react to me. Opportunities show up based on my vibration. So I hope that assists you. I'm going to go into your question again. So you're talking about the inability to focus on an intention until it comes to fruition. So what I want you to, so that means you're under siege of distractions. You're distracted, okay? So you want to set an intention to be aware of distractions, but not be distracted by them. Did you hear that? There's a stage that we grow to in meditation and in spiritual practice where we become aware of distractions, because distractions are all around. We're aware of them, but we're not distracted by them. This happens in meditation. A dog may be barking, a car may be going by, an ambulance may be nearby in the neighborhood that's, siren on or whatever. You're aware of those distractions, but there comes a time where they don't distract you. It's just, sound, dog, ambulance, hope they're okay. You learn how to do the same thing in life. You say you want to go from point A to point B. I have an intention to grow in this area of my life, which means I may take some classes in the community college to learn about X, Y, or Z. But I have all these distractions. So I become aware of the distractions, but I still walk in the direction of where I want to grow. So instead of just being caught up in the distraction, I'm aware of the distraction. Now, when you practice this in meditation, you start to learn that you have dominion over your attention. You become aware of a distraction, but it's not distracting anymore. It's not like, oh, that's noise, it's bothering me, I can't meditate. No, it's just noise. Just note it and keep on going. Establish an intention, and then walk in the direction of your intention. How do you pass by the invisible wall of a distraction? You say to yourself, if you're about to do something, if what I'm about to do, is it assisting in my intention, or is it taking away from my intention? If you have an intention to be healthy and you're about to put a fudgesicle in your mouth. You say, is eating this fudgesicle right now, is this in alignment with my intention to be physically fit, or is it not? Somebody offers you that? No, thank you. I'll have the salad. I'll have the water. I'll have something. I'm not saying cut everything out of your life, but you understand what I'm saying. You do that with anything in your life. If what I'm about to do, is it in alignment with the intention that I set for myself? Yes or no? Then you develop the conviction to walk in the direction of your yes to your intention, and then distractions will become less and less potent and powerful in your life. And you become a fiat of the Spirit. You'll be unstoppable. Everybody has distractions, but everyone is not distracted by the distractions. And so this question underlies a number of things, because there's intention, there's vision. You have an overarching articulation of the vision for your life. There are goals within the vision, and there are tasks underneath those goals. You follow that? There's tasks, there's goals, and there's purpose. Many people live a task-oriented life. They get things done, but they don't have any higher goals. There are many people who have wonderful goals, but they don't have a higher purpose. So when their goals are accomplished, they feel empty. So you want to have a higher purpose. Generally speaking, the higher purpose is to reflect and to reveal the infinite according to your uniqueness. It's a higher purpose for life. How I'm living life to make a contribution on the planet. I'm living life to release my gifts and talents. I'm living life to be a face of divinity. That's my big purpose. That I have goals. How am I going to do that? Those are your goals that you establish for yourself. Then underneath those goals are the tasks and the daily tasks that you have to do to accomplish those goals, to live your purpose. So, if you have vision, which is a part of your purpose, and you have your goals, and you have your tasks, anytime something comes up, a distraction comes up, is sitting here and binge watching 6 episodes of this particular TV program. Is this going to help me with the task that I must do to manifest the goal to live my purpose? Probably not. Watch 1 episode. Watch 2 maybe. And then take out your journal and start to amplify your intention and the steps you need to take to walk in the direction of your vision and your purpose. Carl, I hope that assists. Lois asked this. I have a sister who habitually says and does things to make me feel bad. Habitually, she says. Often she plays the victim. Her method to solve the situation between us is to shout over me. I know people like that. They think if they shout loud, they're going to be more right just because they're saying it louder. Anyway, they solve the situation between us. The way she tries to solve it is to shout over me. She would not let me speak, doesn't respect my opinions, and ultimately hangs the phone up on me and refuses to answer my calls or texts. This has been an issue for years. As much as I would love to have a relationship with my sister, I find it difficult and heartbreaking. My question is, what do I do to try to have a better relationship with her, or even try? Here's what you can control. First of all, because we're born into a family, does not necessarily mean that's our family. This is the family that you're born into. This is the family that you choose and the family you create. Oftentimes the family that you choose and create are of your ilk. They're of your vibration. You're of your frequency. They're of your tonal quality. They're walking in the same direction as you. And then there's your biological family that you have garnered some DNA from and some similar experiences. They may not be a part of your spiritual family. So this is asking a part of your question. Do I try to have a better relationship with her or not? Your heart wants to have a better relationship because you think you should. Now, here's the deal. This is what you can control. You can control how you think about her. You begin to forgive. Don't have any rancor, resentment, animosity, bitterness in your heart where she is concerned. Even though she's shouting over you, doesn't respect you, doesn't respect your opinions. We get that. But as I was saying in the earlier question, an act of spiritual redemption is how you think of her. This is not necessarily going to change her, but it's just going to carry a different frequency where you're concerned. Do you have to have a relationship with her? No, you do not. If the relationship is belittling, if the relationship is disrespectful and hurtful, you can have a relationship from afar. But you can think about her from her as a dimension of her higher self. Send her a kind note from time to time, send her her birthday card. You don't have to participate in conversations that are ultimately become belittling where you are concerned, disrespectful. You don't have to play that game. It's not necessary. Just love her from afar, forgive, keep stepping. You know what's going to happen? Sisterhood will emerge. Doesn't have to be your biological sister. There are many individuals these days, men who have strong brotherhoods with other men, women who have strong sisterhoods with other women. They're not related to them. They meet, they bond, they inspire each other, they encourage each other, they help each other. It's a real sisterhood. It's a real brotherhood. And it's co-ed too. I mean, that's what spiritual communities are about, coming together and having a higher purpose for one's life. Even if we don't all agree all the time, we're in alignment with our higher purpose. So I know you might probably feel bad. You think you should be close with your sister. That should is causing you a level of difficulty. Just love her, forgive yourself, and open yourself up. An angel of transformation may kiss her in the middle of the night, and she may call you up and say, "Sis, God, I've really been difficult to live with, haven't I? I've seen that happen. God, how did you put up with me all those years?" It happens. Here's something that everyone needs to know. It is impossible for another individual to change another individual. It's impossible for another person to change another person. It is impossible. You can't change another person. You know what changes a person? Illuminated truth. Teachers think that they're changing students. They don't have that much power. You know what's changing a student? The illuminated truth is coming through the teacher that touches the student. They have an aha and they change. Now, we have to give credence and love to the teacher who trained themselves and embodied the teaching, yes. But it's the truth. That's why it says, knowing the truth makes us free, you see. So you can't change your sister. All you can do is hang in truth, be kind, and let the truth take over. One day, illuminated truth may hit her, and she'll change. So that's what I have to offer you today, Delois. Just remember, continue to clean up your own interior awareness, making sure you're not doing the things that you're saying she's doing. Just making sure you're clean. Love her, keep stepping. Mark has just a 2-sentence question. How could I go deeper with my meditations? I can't seem to go beyond just to focus on breathing. Okay. We use certain terminology because it's convenient. How to go deeper in meditation, the depth of meditation. There's no height nor depth. That's just a linguistic convenience that's used. What you're seeking is awareness, expanded awareness of that which is real. So if you continue to just be aware of your spiritual intention to wake up, and the breath, What happens is, as you become aware of the breath and you become undistractable, you're not distracted, then purification takes place, and you discover, not necessarily at the time that you're meditating, but you'll discover as you go in life, you're having an expanded awareness. How do you know if your meditation is working? You're quicker to forgive. You start to have a sense of peace, even in the midst of things happening that you don't like. There's a sense of calm. There's a sense of feeling that everything's going to be okay. You start to change. Illuminated truth. You start to change. So when we ask the question, like, how can I go deeper? It's like we're here and we want to go somewhere. We want to go into the future. There's somewhere where I want to get to. Now here's the secret about enlightenment. You enter into the citadel, into the sanctuary of enlightenment with the awareness that you're already enlightened. And all you're doing is removing the obscurations of the mind. You're removing the debris. That's what's happening when you sit. You're not going to get anywhere. There's nowhere to get to, because the center of the universe and the center of the presence is everywhere. You're at the center already. So you're not going anywhere. You're expanding your awareness. So when you sit, you're letting go of going somewhere. I'm not going to go deeper. I'm not going to go further. I'm becoming more aware. The breath is helping me because it's keeping me present. I may have an aha moment, or I may have kensho. Understand these two words, satori and kensho. Satori is an immediate aha, oh my God. Whew. I had a beautiful insight into my oneness with all of life. All that I thought I was a sham. That was just my personality. I'm awake to who I really am. That's a satori moment. Then there's kensho. Kensho is the slow dissolving and eradication of the debris covering up from us seeing reality. Sometimes people want satori and they want to become addicted to being high in meditation. No. You sit. Kensho is happening. These are Japanese terms. Kensho is happening. You're slowly releasing the debris from the mind, and you start to notice in your real life, that used to bother me. I still don't like it, but it doesn't have the power to bother me anymore. What happened? You removed a hindrance. You might say, I went deeper, but actually you just cleared your awareness. Now your awareness is more expanded. I hope that assists. Don't put down your breath. It's sweet. It's wonderful. It's keeping you present. Thank you, Mark. Valerie asked this. I care very deeply about people. But since doing my inner work to heal patterns of anxiety and anger, when I go downtown in the city where I live, I see so many people who are suffering, and it makes me feel like I should. Why should I continue to create abundance and peace for myself when they don't? And do I even have the right to create an abundant life for myself when others have so little? It feels selfish in a way. What would you suggest I do about this? Just look at it like this for a minute. Let's think about Gautama the Buddha for a moment, or Jesus the Christ, Zoroaster. And I'm taking this out of the field of abundance for a moment so you can see it, then we'll come back to abundance. What if they would have said, what right do I have to wake up from a sense of separation? What right do I have? There's so many people walking in ignorance. So many people thinking less than they are about themselves. What right do I have to wake up to the glorious nature of my own being and be spiritually liberated when all these beings are walking around in ignorance and in darkness? They didn't ask that. They did their inner work and became liberated. And what happened? They impacted the noosphere of the planet. So thousands of years later, we're still talking about these individuals. They're still inspiring, they're still healing, they're still uplifting. Because they went within, liberated themselves from separation, impacted generations of individuals. So let's now take it to abundance, prosperity, health, success, whatever. When you work on yourself and realize, I am a living field of abundance. Abundance is all around me. Opportunities are all around me. Possibilities are all around me. They just need to be activated. And I become more and more free in that, and I start to demonstrate more prosperity. I'm not taking away from anyone. I'm actually lifting the vibration of abundance on the planet. If you take a breath right now, you're not stopping somebody in Afghanistan from breathing. If you become prosperous right now, you're not taking away from somebody else's prosperity. Because prosperity is not something you can touch. It's not limited. It's not a thing. It's an energy. It may show up and manifest as a potential activated. It may show up and manifest as a possibility. It may manifest as an idea that becomes a great business that hires people and circulates more energy and creates more prosperity for more people. So abundance and prosperity, if you grow in it, you're not dismissing other people. You are assisting the vibration of abundance to be on the planet. Now, there are people who are materialistically minded, and they've mistaken a life of abundance for the life of materialism. And they become gluttons and they hoard, and some people even steal. Mohandas K. Gandhi talked about that unearned wealth was evil. That's his quote. Unearned wealth is evil. People who steal and stockpile and don't circulate money, it's unearned. Some people inherit a lot of money and live a life of debauchery. You know what I mean? We're not talking about materialism, just getting a bunch of stuff and stockpiling a bunch of stuff and saying, oh, I got 6 cars and I have more than the Joneses, and my house is bigger than their house, and we're talking about true abundance, which is the feeling tone of all of our needs being met, all of our legitimate needs being met, able to live a life that contributes to the world's betterment, even assist people, even assist the things in our life that matter. You like the rainforest. Maybe you volunteer and assist. Maybe you have an abundance of time. You volunteer. Maybe you have abundance of money. You volunteer and assist with planting trees. Maybe like many people at Agape, they know that we assist in planting trees. We assist with the homeless. We assist with individuals women who've been taken into sexual slavery. We volunteer and send money to these organizations. So many people send abundance to Agape so that we can continue to not only have Agape, but to assist things in the world. You become generous when you're abundant. You see? You cannot really help. You can't be the light of the world if you can't pay your light bill. Okay? A friend of mine, June, used to say that a lot. You can't be the light of the world if you can't pay your light bill. And she remembered that one day and decided to be prosperous. And she became prosperous. And she became a very philanthropic spirit. And so you're asking the wrong questions about the anxiety you're getting about other people. Maybe you begin to grow in your abundance, and you actually assist at a place that assists people who don't have shelter right now. You can't do that. If you're fending for yourself, maybe that's your thing. Maybe what you're sharing here is that maybe this is a part of your mission to come to a level of abundance where you actually can assist the organizations that are assisting individuals from going from the street to housing, education, ideal employment. Maybe that's your calling. Some people's calling is the rainforest, pollution out of the ocean, homelessness, the industrial prison system, making that more humane, the juvenile department system. Whatever is bothering you might be your mission. So don't just throw away abundance because somebody's poor. We give to a lot of places. I have a compartment in my car, and I'm going to get change from things. That money stacks. That money is just for me to give it away to people. Sometimes people on the street, I feel a certain thing, and I give it to them. It's not for myself. It's just stacks up, and it's like, I'll see somebody, they're asking for money. I don't judge people asking for money. I just give it to them. I don't care if they're buying wine or whether they're getting a meal or checking themselves into a hotel. It's not my deal. Doesn't mean I don't support other organizations that are doing a very meaningful job. But I couldn't give that money away if I didn't feel a level of abundance with my own being. I'd be holding on to it. Oh my God, if I give this money away, I'm not going to have any more money. There are people, materialists, who actually believe that if they share philanthropically, they're going to have less money. Doesn't work that way. Money is energy. Money is energy. It flows. And when you're in a flow of circulation, of sharing and shining and giving, your hands are not like this. Your hands are like this. More keeps coming to you. So anyway, I hope I'm helping you. Don't fall prey to, why should I continue to create abundance and peace for myself when they don't? And do I have the right to create an abundant life for myself when others have so little? It feels selfish. Listen, charity begins at home. Take care of your mental body, your emotional body, your physical body, your financial body. Take care of it. It's called stabilizing the structures in your life. What does stabilizing the structures mean? I'll take it out of abundance for a moment. Let's deal with physical health. Let's say you don't exercise, you're eating poorly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you spend an extraordinarily amount of time visiting the doctor. And you're getting prescribed pharmaceuticals. Your body's in pain all the time. You're eating bad food. You're not exercising. You're not resting properly. That means the energy that you could be doing something else is being used to go to the doctor, waiting in the doctor's office, getting another drug prescription. If you leverage that energy, that means stabilization. When you become healthy, that means all that energy that you've been using to go get well, you can now use for your vision. You can now use to hang out with your friends and kids and grandkids because you're not in the hospital. I'm not blaming the victim here. I'm just saying what stabilization of energy means. So if you stabilize your financial energy, that means you're not thinking about money all the time. You know that you have income. You know that you have prosperity. So now you can think about something else. Your energy is not, oh my God, my rent is due in 2 weeks. I don't have the money. You've leveraged that energy, so now you can, maybe you're a writer. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to go volunteer at the shelter. So that's called stabilizing your structure so that what? So that the structure becomes an asset rather than a liability. You are creating prosperity from the field of abundance to stabilize the structure so that your financial structure is an asset, not a liability. Corey with a C from California asked this question. This is a deeply touching situation here. Recently, our family received devastating news about our cousin passing away in a car accident. She was only 20 years old. Our question is, how do we make sense of such a tragedy and try to be grateful and positive during such an incredible time of loss? I'm trying to use all the things I've learned about the law of attraction, frequency, vibration, and energy, along with my faith in God. But it still does not make sense why such a young, joyful person will be called to transition from this earth when she was just starting her adult life. Any feedback or insight would be appreciated. This is probably one of the most difficult things for people to grapple with, because we have a fantasy, a romantic fantasy, that everyone that comes to the planet is supposed to live a ripe old age, 70, 80, 90, 100. It's just part of how we're programmed to a degree. But so many people come to the planet for short periods of time. Some people come for 3, 4 years, 18 years, 20 years, 25, 37. I was recently with an individual, and he was having a counseling session with a young man, and his best friend passed. His best friend was a martial artist, wife, 2 kids, tip-top shape, died of a heart attack. We have a fantasy about longevity. So when we say, how do we make sense of this tragedy? A couple of things. One, we don't really know behind the scenes about that individual's soul agreement and why her soul was in collusion with leaving at that particular time. We called it an accident, but we don't know. We don't know why she left. So to try to unravel the tragedy as you're describing it would take us on an endless loop of unanswerable questions. But we do know this. We do know that life is eternal, that she did not experience death. The only people that experience the death are the cousins, the people left behind. They experience her loss. She didn't experience death because death doesn't exist. She experienced it's a quick transition into another level of life. And why did she pass so early? We don't have the privilege of knowing that necessarily. I mean, we can go into deep states of meditation and ask the question, and she may show up for us and tell us, or we may get an answer of some kind. There are people coming to Earth right now for short periods of time. Why? Because the Earth is going through a great transition that only happens once every long period of time. And there are souls saying, I don't want to be there long. I just want to be there to say I was there when this happened. It's like people, they want to go to a rock concert. They want to say, oh, I was there when the Beatles sang. I was there when, Jimi Hendrix was at. I was there when. There are people that are coming to Earth right now. They don't want to be here for 70, 80, 90 years. They just want to just drop in and say, I was there. I went to Earth during that time of that great transition. I added my positivity, my energy, my love, and then I got out. You see, and they already agreed before they got here. They were out before they got here. We don't know if she falls into that camp. We don't know if she fell. We don't know. So what do? I'm not trying to be positive. We don't want positive thinking. No. We have an underlying awareness that life is eternal, yes. We celebrate her life, yes. But we're not talking about positive thinking here. Go through the stages of grief. You might be angry. It might take a moment to accept that this even happened. Then you might be angry about it. You might be sad about it. You might be depressed about it. But eventually, you do this. You say to yourself, you said, she was young and joyful. You used the word joyful. So that was a quality that she had and still has. Joy is intrinsic to us. So you say to yourself, I want my life to be a vibrational living memorial to my cousin. Therefore, I'm going to embody this quality of joy that she had. Did you say it was a girl? Yeah, she was 20. I'm going to discover things to be joyful about. And I'm going to amplify my joy vibration in her name. So therefore, I become aware that I'm keeping her alive, not just because she's made in the image and likeness of God and she can't die, so we already know on a spiritual dimension she's alive, but I'm keeping her alive as a living memorial within my own soul by embodying the quality of joy that she represented. I'm going to embody joy. I'm going to embody joy in the toughest situations. When I go through this grief, not through positive thinking, when I go through this grief, I'm going to eventually embody joy, and I'm going to live a joyful life in the name and in the nature of my cousin. So I keep uplifting and expanding my consciousness because of her. I think that's what I have to offer you right now, Corey. I don't want to just say I'm sorry for your loss. I want to say I'm grateful. If you take on this practice, you get to gain an expanded state of consciousness because she went from the realm of the visible to the realm of the invisible. One other thing. It's a story of a woman whose child, an infant, had passed. And she heard about this man called the Buddha. And she said, if I can just get to this man, he can bring my child back to life. She found out where he was doing the satsang. He was practicing meditation, and she was able to get to him. She had her baby who had just recently died in her arms. She said, I know you're a man of mastery and power. Can you bring my child back to life? And he said, perhaps, but I want you to go to all the neighboring hamlets and towns and villages and find anybody who hasn't experienced loss. So she went to all the towns, little hamlets, little villages. She couldn't find one person, not one person who hadn't ever experienced any kind of loss of a loved one, a friend, associate, colleague. And by the time she got back to the Buddha, she had this deep well of compassion within her heart. And she realized that people passing from the visible to the invisible was a part of this human experience. And it changes us for the better if we allow it. And she had a heart full of compassion because she realized no one leaves the planet without experiencing some level of loss. Corey, I know the loss is difficult. We're going to hold you in prayer. No one escapes without this experience. We don't know the underlying meaning, but we do know she's alive, and we can live our life in celebration of her existence, and in your case, being a joy baby. Have a bright day, everyone. We'll stop in this moment. And we just give thanks for all of the beings who have asked questions, even the ones we didn't get to today. And we have a moment of just dynamic awareness that there's a presence that's never an absence, coursing through our spiritual veins right now. And every being listening to this podcast is now under the aegis, under the spiritual authority of a peace that passes human understanding, a deep sense of well-being, safety, harmonizing prosperity and abundance, pure joy, bliss, and ecstasy, and an ever-increasing awakened consciousness to the divine presence that is within us and ultimately is our very life. And it's all happening now. And so it is. Amen. Blessings. Hope you enjoyed our solo Take Back Your Mind podcast today. One of the individuals did ask a question about meditation that I had the privilege of answering. You know, meditation is extremely important. It's the foundational piece of our Agape International Spiritual Center. Obviously, we teach about affirmative prayer. We teach about the life visioning process. But meditation is our foundation. It's our foundation for freedom. So it's always a vibration of encouragement to begin and continue and sustain some level of meditation practice. Paying attention to that which is real, to develop the capacity to not be distracted and to stay involved in your intention to wake up. There are different stages of waking up. But ultimately, we want to wake up to the truth that we're not separated from life. That's what meditation is about. We know that it has wonderful benefits. Regulation of heart, blood pressure, coherence of the brain, balancing our immune system, allowing tonic chemicals to flow that vivifies our system and slows down the aging process. These are all what you call byproducts of meditation. And of course, there are many people entering into the practice of meditation because of the byproducts, and that's beautiful and that's wonderful. But meditation has been practiced by sages for thousands of years, and the primary purpose is spiritual liberation, otherwise known as moksha, to be liberated from any sense of separation from the presence that's never an absence. So let's sit for a few moments together. Put your hands in your lap facing upward as a sign of receptivity. Just take a deep, clearing breath. Release. Bring your shoulders to your ears and tense up every aspect of your body. Do the opposite of relaxation. Tense everything. Release. And just let yourself go to this moment. Embrace an intention to wake up to your glorious nature. It's glorious. It's life. You are an emanation of life itself. An emanation of love, beauty, and intelligence. This is your real life, beyond your personality, beyond the constellation of shifting personalities within you. There is a singular I am presence, the individual expression of life that you are, unique. We stop and we say to ourselves, I intend to wake up to my glorious nature. Let us sit with this intention. Let's allow for our intention to embrace this intention, even now. There's the steady breath that the body temple is regulating. We become aware of the breath. It allows us to be present and anchored right here, right now. And out of the depth of this silence, out of the expanded nature of the sacred silence and stillness, we accept that all of life is rushing to this place called us to be conscious of itself as us. And it's all happening now. We give thanks for these precious moments of coherence with thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of individuals tuning in to take back your mind, developing a center of coherence that embraces the entire world. We give thanks for our participation in this. And so it is. Amen. Have a beautiful and magnificent and bright day. Take back your mind. Obviously, we have sponsors. Presently, we have two major sponsors for the Take Back Your Mind. And I love to say, one is Nutrarize. You can go to Nutrarize.com and you can find Adaptozen, Z-E-N, and get my superfood greens. 47 plant-based ingredients with adaptogens, along with probiotics, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes. One scoop. It tastes so good. Teenagers love it. It's flying off the shelves, and now we have enough for you to subscribe to. We also have the D3K2. This is necessary for prevention of disease, elevation of mood, great health. Subscribe to both. Our sponsor is Nutrarize, and these are the products. And also the major sponsor is the Agape International Spiritual Center. Go to agapelive.com, see all the benefits of being participating in a spiritual community that's about our spiritual liberation and celebrating the best of us, the best of humanity. Have a beautiful and bright day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.